Madam Mayor, it is 9:01 and we are live.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Yes, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the December 14th. Can't believe that.
December 4th.
That's what I said, December 14th, 2022 pre-agenda meeting. Can you call the roll, ma'am?
Yes, Mayor Betty Resch.
Here.
Vice Mayor Christopher McVoy.
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga I don't see her. Commissioner Kimberly Stokes.
Here.
Commissioner Reynaldo Diaz.
Oh.
I don't see him either, but I'll keep my eye peeled.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Kim, since you have to leave at 9:30 and we might have a short meeting today anyway, which wouldn't be a bad thing. Do you have anything burning that you'd like to talk about?
I have so much swirling around in my head. I forgot about this meeting, I have to admit, so I don't have anything prepared.
We're casual today.
Yeah. I mean, I feel a little uncomfortable bringing this up, but I do feel compelled to do so. And I would like to ask staff, I don't know, maybe the city clerk, because she's done things like this in the past, to look at what other cities do during their meetings for the invocation. I know we have a little bit of a history here in our town of trying to figure out the exact way to open our meetings and to use the invocation properly and respectfully. We tried to open it up, I think, years ago to make sure all religions had an opportunity to be represented. And so we opened it up to, you know, if somebody from the Jewish community wants to come and give an invocation, or, you know, every different type of Christianity, you know, Catholicism, Lutheran, Protestant, you know, there's so many different religions, and just due to the nature of our commission, they're really not representative. So I know we tried to do that, and then it was like, well, should you know, other controversial religions get a chance to do that, or atheists, or, you know, it really got controversial. So I think landed to where each commissioner has their chance to do the invocation. So it's not representative. And I am concerned at our last meeting that it was used to throw passive aggressive digs at a fellow commissioner, which I find highly inappropriate. The invocation is not for that. If you have an issue that you want to bring up, we have liaison comments and commission reports that we can do that with. So that just, you know, and then there's the whole argument of separation between church and state.
No.
So there's just a lot. So I'm just curious what other cities do with their invocation. I was fine with it. I've always been a little uneasy about how we, you know, aren't able to represent every faith. But I was like, it's not that big of a deal. This isn't something I'm gonna like really worry a lot about. But I really was pretty disappointed last meeting to see it used in a way to throw little, you know, digs at other commissioners. I think that's very inappropriate. So I would just love to know what other cities do and bring that back just to see, are we doing what we think is
Are you going to do the research on the research on that, Kim?
I can do that. I can reach out to all the municipalities in the county and find out what they do. City attorney's hand is raised, but let me just say, I worked in Deerfield previously, and when I started there, I had to call various churches, religious houses to try to get an invocator. But because you're opening the door for, if you let this house of worship, et cetera, what Commissioner Stokes referred to, they went to a moment of silence. But I will contact the everyone in the county, all the municipalities, and report back on what they do. And I'm guessing because City Attorney Torcivia represents a lot of cities, he probably has something to say on this. And
the ones that he doesn't represent, you can just look at their agenda. It'll say on the agenda what they do. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, for sure.
Mr. Torcivia.
Good morning.
What gem of knowledge are you going to drop on us this morning?
I don't have any gems of knowledge, but Commissioner Stokes is correct. Once you open it up, you open it up. There's no, you know, the city had letters years ago from various religious groups, and, you know, if you're going to have anyone different religions. You're going to have Wicca, you're going to have agnostic, you're going to have atheist, you're going to have festivus, you're going to have every possible variation. And then there's really no way to say no once you open it up. So the safest is always just a moment of silence. That's the safest thing to do. The next safest is kind of what you're doing now, which is you rotate around, and oftentimes, many of you just ask for a moment of silence, or you mention something that's non-religious, as world peace, or think of people who unfortunately died in some tragedy. So we're probably on the more safe side, as opposed to, and I don't know very many cities, if any, that really have various religious groups come in and speak for that very reason, because once you open it up, you lose complete control over that.
I think famously when the devil worshiper came a few years ago, that kind of cinched it.
Exactly. And again, if that's the path you want to go down, but that's, once you open that door, the door is wide open.
I don't think Commissioner Stokes is suggesting that.
No.
I think she's suggesting going in the other direction.
Right. And I do feel like if we, I any decision that we make like this, I'd love to first see what are other people doing, what's working, what's not working. So that's what I wanted to do. My inclination would be the safest thing to do is to have the mayor have a moment of silence if there's something that happened in our community and the world and the nation that want, I feel like it's appropriate. The mayor is our spokesperson for the city to do that at the beginning of every meeting. I don't really feel like an invocation is necessary. But I'm curious what other municipalities are doing.
I want the record to reflect that Mr. Diaz has joined us at 9:00 something. 9. Thank you. Good morning. Okay.
Good morning.
So staff's going to find out and come back to us on that. Yeah.
Yes, I will let you know what I find out from the other municipalities.
Great. Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else, Kim?
That's all for today.
Oh, thank you. And are we going to see each other? Oh, who's going to the workshop tomorrow night on Dixie Highway? Who's going to the Dixie Highway workshop tomorrow? I am. I think it can behoove us to hear what goes on.
Nadia's North Grade's band performance is tomorrow night.
Ah,
I know. I was like, I really want to go to that.
but it's so cute that she's doing that. I love it. I think it's good. It's sweet that she's doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
She'll be a Lake Worth High School band kid someday. So it's really interesting, and I have, all right, the Dixie Highway thing, I'm getting a lot of feedback about Dixie Highway and this, I don't know why they call it a road diet. I have no idea, because all they do is want to jam more stuff on a road than take it away. I'm not, personally, I'm not convinced. At first was, turn lane would be great, but then you think it's a single lane, Dixie Highway then becomes single lane north and single lane south, which seems, so I think we're going to see if, number one, if DOT will even care what our residents say, because they're firmly opposed to it. As far as I've gotten a couple pro emails, but on the most part negative in comments. So I think it's, I'm going to go just because I want to hear the interaction and see what folks do and see how DOT reacts, because they don't seem to be very responsive to the desires of our citizens, given our history. So, Mr. McVoy, do you have anything?
I'm sorry, Commissioner Diaz had his hand raised.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. Okay. Mr. Diaz.
On that note, I really just wanted to kind of quickly say that, and this is really to everyone that's on and listening, is to attend that meeting with an open mind, because there is a lot of, I've seen those comments too, and there's a lot of misunderstanding and to some degree, some misinformation, but I encourage everyone. I don't know why, I don't think they use that word yet, but I would, at TPA, we were encouraging people to use repurposing, because that's really what it is, and instead of a road diet. And these things historically, I know change is often difficult for many to, kind of see the future of it, but the research is out there. The engineers, traffic engineering, things like that have come to a point where they understand quite a bit to, how to make roads safer. And if this gets accomplished for Lake Worth, it would be a game changer, because crossing Dixie is not safe right now. And we all saw that when the power went out the other night. And how many accidents did we have? Because people were just flying through, and it's our roads right now don't encourage safety, which is the primary thing. So basically all I just wanted to say is, go in with an open mind and maybe like listen to the design. I'm looking forward to seeing what they present and what research they're going to share, because generally speaking, it's a much safer way to go.
Okay, thank you. And Ms. Diaz, do you have anything else this morning while you're up? And I see Christopher's hand. Let's go with Mr. Diaz right now.
Not really. I mean, I think now is a good time to catch up on stuff I know that we had talked about previously that I'm working on. So I guess the only other thing is with Carmen, I've invited someone to give a presentation hopefully soon about it's someone who represents a developer, and they have kind of a unique project in mind. And I know they met with Mr. Waters yesterday. So, I'm kind of excited for that, because it's different and fairly innovative. So I'd be looking to get an update from that and see what they have to offer.
Is he going to do a presentation?
Sometime in the future. I had
Is he
brought
going
that
to
up
meet with us individually?
That's a good question. It's I think that's on the table if needed, if wanted.
I mean, I find it helpful if we know what's going to happen before we get to the meeting, because I'm not a fan of pop
Yeah.
quizzes.
Yeah, for sure.
Mhm. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? Ronaldo?
That's it. Other
All
than
right.
I guess one cool fact is I had a meeting yesterday morning in Bryant Park, and we saw 3 juvenile green sea turtles that have been
Oh,
hanging
wow.
out on a seawall, which is an awesome sign. Those are green sea turtles are not doing well, and they're really picky about having seagrass and things to eat. And so to see, I mean, they're tiny. They're like the size of a dinner plate. These are really young turtles,
Aw.
and to see them was really cool. So if you're out there, keep an eye out. They're probably still hanging
Where
out.
would we look?
On the south end of Bryant Park, looking between our planters with the mangroves. They
Yeah.
usually by the rocks, like munching on algae and grass.
And is there enough for them to eat there, apparently?
Yeah, this year was kind of a banner year with not a whole lot of rain and Lake Okeechobee discharges. So seagrass and plant life in the lagoon overall has done fairly well up until the hurricanes. Then, of course, that flushed a lot of nutrient pollution. But this year overall has been really good for seagrass, and
Oh, good.
we hope it just gets better.
Because we hear the manatees are starving. That's what I'm concerned about. Mr. McVoy, so thank you very much. Mr. McVoy.
Yes, thank you. Just very brief reiteration. I too found the way that the invocation was used to be really not very professional and not very uplifting to do that in a meeting. So I hope that we'll look at some better way to do that. On the meeting tomorrow with FDOT and Dixie Highway, similar to what Commissioner Diaz said, let's go with open mind. Let's hear what the engineers have to say. I think some of the things we're going to learn is that an awful lot of the traffic on Dixie Highway is not local. A lot of it is through traffic that doesn't really do anything for our city except, noise, increased danger, pollution, whatever. And Dixie Highway is at this point an extremely unattractive road, and it's the center of our city. We've committed to both a complete streets approach and to a Vision Zero approach. Those, if they're not just loose words of commitment, Dixie Highway is one of the places where let's look at what can be done to make roads safer, to make them more comfortable for a wide range of mobility that is clearly part of the picture. I mean, we see people all over town and not just in Lake Worth, but elsewhere on electric scooters, on electric bicycles, on regular bicycles, on a variety of things. And I certainly hear from a lot of people. I don't know that I would recommend bicycling as part of Dixie Highway, certainly not the way it is now. But I hear from a lot of people that they would like to bike for transportation around Lake Worth, and they don't feel safe to do so. And so let's go to with an open meeting, an open mind to, are there ways that the road can be designed to, and this is very much borne out by research, design the road to tell people how fast is appropriate to go on it, not through signage, but through the road construction. That works remarkably well, and it can give you other benefits in the process. So it's easy to say, well, you know, we don't want to do anything to it. It's going to make it worse. It could make it a lot better. Could make it a more attractive, integrated part of our city. So let's keep an open mind on that. The other thing that I have on my list is we as a commission have not voted formally on demolition of the, I'm going to call them the L&M Street buildings that are approximately 5 or 7 of them that are on the list for demolition. We as a commission, to my understanding, have not formally voted about that one way or the other. We've talked about it and sort of tacitly said, okay. I would encourage us as a commission to say, hey, I think, and maybe other people recall this too, but I seem to recall that when we did the charrette for the L&M area with the guidance of the Treasure Coast Planning Council, some of the plans incorporated some of those buildings. And to me, it would make sense to at least let's hold on demolition until we hear from that group on their presentation. It would seem a little unfair. The Treasure Coast planning people, they will be presenting their results from having worked up the charrette information. You recall?
Yeah, we have it. Yeah, all right.
As I say, it was working on that, the focus of that charrette, both the public input and the Treasure Coast planners' efforts were focused on the very area that those buildings are in. Let's not preclude our options by, demolishing buildings before we even hear from them. And I do want to be on record that although I have not dug into the full documentation, my understanding certainly, and I think all of ours, is those buildings were occupied before the city and the CRA took them over. And I believe there's some indication that they were in reasonably functioning condition. And the fact that we've let them, get to demolition by neglect is really upsetting, especially given that part of the CRA's mission is historic preservation, including of neighborhoods, not just of buildings. So I would ask our commission to give a message to the CRA that let's not go full speed ahead on this demolition effort. Let's first at least hear from the results of the Treasure Coast Planning Council presentation.
Well, that's the 20th. That's the 20th. That's next week.
That's correct, Madam Mayor.
Carmen, I was gonna call on you, Nick. Go ahead,
Oh, yes.
please.
No, I just wanted to just to make sure everyone knew that there is a presentation scheduled. And you did mention that that's on the 20th, January 20th with the commission.
And Ann Fairfax came up with a beautiful plan, but she never gave us, is it gonna, everybody, good architects can draw beautiful plans. But financially, we never heard if it was, could it work, if it was viable. So
Madam Mayor, if I can also add,
Please.
so the presentation would be on January 20th. And however, the demolition will not take place prior to that. So
Right,
that
December,
it's not scheduled yet.
December 20th, not January 20th. I have it on,
No, we're not having a December 20th.
oh, that's my
It'll be
meeting.
the second meeting in January, I believe. Am I correct, Madam Clerk?
January 20th is a Friday.
I'm sorry, January the
17th.
17th.
I will, or I'll be in
I
Washington.
don't see anything, actually, I haven't looked at the 17th. I'm working on the 3rd. But
Yeah,
I'll
and
make
I
a
think
note
we're
of that.
scheduling it for the 17th.
Okay,
Which I will be in Washington for, unfortunately.
Mm. Okay.
Shoot. That's unfortunate because I really would like to be here for that.
We could make it the first meeting in February
Yeah,
or a special meeting.
part of me says a special
Maybe
meeting.
Maybe
I
that's
mean,
best.
if we're gonna try to jam this into one of our meetings, I think this is big enough. We're gonna go past, let's say we're gonna go past a half an hour talking about
That's
it.
true. That's true.
So I would suggest that we do it either as a workshop or as a special meeting.
In January or February?
January, like the 24th of January is a Tuesday with nothing in it.
Okay, well, look at that. Would that be
I'm gone the
That's
whole week of the
the-
16th in Washington,
the utility meeting? What's
31st.
31st?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's an extra
So maybe
meeting.
we can work with the 24th.
Okay.
We'll look into that.
Yeah,
I
nothing's
just
gonna
want to
happen
assure
before
you
that
that
anyway.
I just wanted to reassure the commission that the properties will not be demolished prior to the presentation.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you, City Manager. One thought, and I agree, Madam Mayor, with if you're going to be away, it'd be better if you were here, if that can be arranged. Little hesitant about moving it to a workshop because then we don't allow public input. So we
Make
might
it a
want,
special meeting.
yeah, that would be my only concern, that I
Yeah.
think this is, that the public has a lot of interest in.
Okay. All right, anything else, Mr. McBoy? You don't have to dig, just if it's on your mind.
Well, I follow quite closely a lot of economists. There's a group of economists that I've been familiar with since undergraduate days that differ a little bit from traditional economists, in that traditional economists have always said that the only way for the economy to work is for it to be continually growing. And there's another set of economists that have said, wait a minute, aren't there physical constraints? You only have so many things on a planet, whether it's energy sources or minerals or places to put waste or whatever. And that maybe a continually growth-based economy is not a model that works. And Herman Daly was a economist out of that group that worked at the World Bank for about 5 years, actually, and was able to get them to think about things a little bit differently. Nature is the premier science journal in the world. I guess you could argue that Science is close behind it, but the two of them are, Nature and Science are the two most prestigious journals. There was just an article in Nature, I believe it was, of a bunch of economists from all over the world, different countries, talking about, as we look at our needs in terms of climate change and changes in fossil fuel emissions, maybe we ought, in parallel, need to rethink what our growth model is based on, and how to measure that, and what to optimize for. Pretty interesting stuff, things that I think us as a coastal city and as a forward-looking city ought to keep an eye on, as far as, how we think about what we value and how to how to operate the city.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Davis, do you have anything?
No, I don't think I have anything to report, Madam Mayor.
Okay. I just want to say a couple words about the pool. I have to say, when I hear that this is, the ZC, that they're these experts, and then they come to us with a 4-foot pool, I don't think there's any excuse for that. I was horrified when that came up. It just really, I thought demonstrated the fact that what were they thinking? I mean, did they really think a 4-foot all across pool? The most important thing about a pool is a hole with water in it. And they were very much about, wood decks and sort of, all those things, but not about the water in the pool. So I'm a little I mean, we gave them a pretty clear direction to go larger and deeper. But I just kind of feel like they missed the point a little bit with what we were looking for. And I'm hoping that they can, here's the thing. If it was any one of us that was putting a pool in the backyard, you meet with your pool guy or your husband or your wife or your friends, you go, what do you think this should look like? How about that? How about that? How about that? It's like this organic thing. We don't have that luxury, and it's just awful. So, people are very, the citizens, a lot of citizens are very critical, just make a decision and go with it. Not so easy. I just want to say to the public in general, when you've got 5 different people, all this input from different things, the financial aspect of it, we're dealing totally in public with it. And I just thought we defer a lot to experts. These folks are supposed to be experts. And I just thought that was such a misstep on their part. I was very disappointed. I was very disappointed with that, because how can you imagine? Listen, if we're going to do a 4-foot pool, here's my suggestion. We fill in the pool with dirt. We buy a bunch of above the ground pools, and every year we buy a new one because they're 4 feet deep. That was my feeling at that time. I was just so,
I feel like the only way that happened, and it kind of goes with never make assumptions. And I don't know how everyone's meeting went, obviously, but I think I never mentioned it because I went to my individual meeting. That was probably, kind of like an obvious assumption.
who would say, I
in,
want the pool more than 4 feet deep?
right. Basically, I went in saying as we need almost as much of a Swiss Army knife, as many uses as possible. And I feel like the only way to accomplish that is to have a lot of variation in depth. So I was I'm kind of with you on that. I think
Well,
it was just.
I'm disappointed in the entire process of what we've done as a city and a commission and staff to move this pool forward. I've said for over a year that we all need to decide what our priorities are for programming. Then we design the pool for programming, because we shouldn't be getting design after design and saying, nope, we need a 12-foot section for scuba diving. Nope, we need a 4-foot section for summer camps and pool volleyball. Nope. We have to figure out what this pool is going to do. And the process has been flawed. I'm going to say it. I am not happy with the way this has been done. And we have to have some serious conversations about how we're going to move this forward. And I hate this because it's 9:30 and I have to drop. But I think everybody on this call committed during their campaign to a public pool and at the beach. And we've all said that we want to get that done. And I don't feel like we're on track to get that done right now. And we're gonna have to have lots of conversations about how we redirect this course and make sure we're on an actual path to not excuses, to not no, but yes, we're gonna make this happen, get it done.
I think we all agree with you. We got it wasn't ours to start with, we got it sort of halfway through, and, the citizens, rightly so, are critical that so much, even before our time, so much money was spent on studies and different things. But we all did make a commitment, and I feel very strongly I wanted that commitment to go through. That's kind of why the other day I just sort of said, one of us just be the person that talks to them and go, and every 2 weeks come in and say, this is where it's headed. What do you think? So we're in a constant communication with them, but that's not necessarily the only, obviously the only way to go. But You know, in terms of tasks, I think we all agree that now the scuba diving thing's a new thing that Dan Volker came in with. But when I saw those videos of what is out there and using this, you know, using the scuba and the snorkeling as a potential tourism, you know, taking advantage of the natural resource that we have out there that I didn't even realize was out there, that we kind of threw that in the end. But until then, it was, oh, she's calling. Till then, it was, you know, swim classes, lap swims, water aerobics, general, you know, pool stuff. So the 12-foot thing was the 10-foot thing was the only wrench that we threw in. So we, you know, I think we're all going to meet with Carmen and try to figure something out. Carmen, I know your hand's up, Chris, but I ask Carmen. She usually is short and succinct and to the point with us.
Well, I just want to say, I felt like the last discussion on the pool was interesting because a lot more information came out about the community's desire of activities they were interested in. And so I, of course, took note of that. And I will reach out to the consultant to kind of explore how we can have a multi-purpose pool and what would that look like and the cost, and see if we
I feel
can.
like I feel like they really sort of missed the point. I really do. And, you know, we have spent, and every time we talk to them, it's money. And you know, you have to talk to them. I get that, but maybe you should have a one-on-one with each one of us to be, I think we talked about that, to be more specific about what we're looking for so that we minimize the conversations that we have with them. I just think when he said 4 feet, I was like, I'm done. This is crazy. He obviously doesn't understand that we want a pool, not a wading pool. So I would ask, you know, all of us to give our thoughts to either Juan or, you know, Carmen. I think we talked about Juan doing that. It's very frustrating because we just, if each of us wanted to do it, we would just go ahead and work with a consultant and do it and make it. And this way it's just so cumbersome and difficult. And I understand that.
Well, I look forward to hearing from each one of you more, and we'll guide through that process.
Okay, thanks. Chris?
Yeah, I think we all heard the gasp in the room when they said 4 feet deep, which I asked them, how deep is this thing? I had already reached out to the city manager before that meeting and said, hey, the presentation only includes plan view. Obviously, if you're designing something, a cross section that tells you
Right,
how
right.
and
They
the
were the
shape.
cheapest, they were really just conceptual.
Well, I was upset with the process that I asked for that in advance. And the answer that came back is, well, you know, that wasn't really in the scope. Bull to that. If you're going to get people to do construction cost estimates in that detail, of course, you know what it is. And of course, that should have been provided in advance. I am more than frustrated with the consultants. I'm not convinced that they took us seriously. I would be very surprised if any of us ever mentioned 4 feet deep. So they made that out of whole cloth. I have a big problem with the process. As you mentioned, Mayor, we cannot just sit around over some beer or wine or whatever and say, hey, let's put our heads together and come up with something that can work. We can't do that except in a public meeting, which is fine, but it's very slow and you only have so much time to do it. Staff has to be part of this because staff is the only part that can hear what each of us have and then take that in an organized fashion. It's nice to say that we should meet with Carmen and each give our input. That doesn't get us to a program. We need a clear written program that we can review clearly. And that written program needs to say, look, if you want to do the Swiss Army knife approach and you want blades 1 through 15, here's what the cost is associated with each of those. Here's what the requirements physically are. As we heard from Sally Welsh, if you want to have lap swimming, you have to have X depth near the edge so people can do a flip. Well, that information is out there, but that needs to be organized by staff. That here's, you know, we all gave
What I'm
sort of,
suggesting, which is what I'm suggesting. How else do you do that?
it's got to be a much better process than has happened so far. And it's got to be much more detailed. Let's get to a written program that we understand what the cost implications are, and we may look back at that program and collectively say together, okay, we want these many blades on the knife. This one seems to not have a very high return on it in terms of income generation, but it has a big cost, vice versa, et cetera, so that we can make intelligent decisions. And then once we've got a clear program, then you send it off to the designer. We didn't do that. And they
Well,
obviously,
weren't really given a choice. They were already engaged when we came on.
there's no requirement that we stick with them. There wasn't any requirement that we stick with them, but whatever it is, we need to get to a clearly spelled out program, and that there's some knowledge behind the basis for that program that we can review. So I'll be sending some specific suggestions of how to do that to the city manager, not suggestions of what I'd like to see in the pool, but suggestions on the process of what we need. And, you know, all of us can then look at that and say, yeah, that makes sense as a way to get there or not.
I'm
whatever.
sure we all have, yeah, right. That's why I'm suggesting that we all do that to the city manager. That's all I said, was we should give our ideas to the city manager or to Juan. And so they have a list of the things that we're all looking for. That's all.
And I'm saying that's not sufficient. It's, we need, the city manager needs a process, because they
Well-
clearly didn't have a process. And I'm going to make that suggestion of how to improve that, so that we're not flailing around in the dark quite as much as we are. So let's work on that. We all do want the pool, and we want something that, you know, achieves certain objectives and benefits our community.
Okay. Okay, I want to welcome Shona. Where's Shona? Where is she still here? Oh, there she is. Shona Smith is Carmen's new assistant. And I want to welcome her. I don't know how, you've probably all met her by now, but welcome aboard, Shona. It's wonderful to have you. Anything else from anybody? Any staff have anything to complain about?
Madam Mayor,
Yeah.
Commissioner Diaz had his hand raised.
Oh, I'm
and
sorry, I didn't see it.
I believe the Vice Mayor raised his hand again.
Again, okay, well, let's go to, well, what?
Brenda.
Yeah,
Well,
I
Mr.
just wanted to quickly say, like, I definitely appreciate the notion of having a process where we pick our specifications, if you will, for what we want in a pool first. And partly because I just kind of want to throw it out there, if we end up going the route, and I think it's probably likely, of a public-private partnership, we should really be used to, we should get ourselves used to being, you know, really strict on what parameters we're going to be setting.
Right, right. Okay, so I don't have too much else. We're not meeting again as a body until the 3rd, I guess. So we'll probably run into each other at different events or now the parade was great. But next year, obviously, we're going to pimp up that float like crazy. And we have to thank, is Lauren here, Lauren Miller? Lauren
Yes,
Bennett?
it's not on, but wow, yes, they did an awesome job.
Unbelievable.
I think
Unbelievable.
it was bigger than last year.
Was it?
awesome.
Yeah, it was great. No, they did an amazing job. And one of us should have thought about, we're going to get a float and we just assumed. That's the thing about assumptions. Let's see, anything else that, I want to add something on the a quick presentation on the 3rd, if I can. A citizen has approached me about an idea that he has for, and you'll see it's educational placards, like at the beach. These are the birds that you'll see at the beach, and on Bryant Park, these are the green turtles that you might see, or the fish that you might see, or some ecological educational signs, different things. And it sounds like a good idea. And he's going to just do a quick presentation about that and see what we think.
Madam Mayor, I would need some information about that. So if you have an
No, I
email
think
or
you need to
whatever.
guess. I think you need to guess at who's going to come. I think that would be a good idea. It's Ed Grimm, one of our
I'm sorry, who?
Edward Grimm. And he's going to, I told him to get in touch with you to give you, like I said, he's trying to get a quick presentation together, because again, I'm not going to be here for the second meeting. So we want to just see everybody's, just basic reaction to the idea.
Okay, just get us his contact and Melissa,
Yep.
she loves to guess, so she'll get it together.
I know, she's a good guesser. She's a good guesser. Yeah, it's not a big, it sounds like a really interesting idea, you know, for educational and artistic purposes. We don't have to stay till 10 if we're ready. I know a lot of us have a lot of things to do. I know I do.
I just about can I have a
Oh,
can I
yeah.
can I
I'm
meet
sorry.
with Mr. Grimm before them, because this is
Call him.
something.
Yeah, well,
Obviously,
I thought of you right away, right.
Yeah,
Do
obviously,
you know Ed, don't
I
you?
I maintain those. Part of the part of the maintenance team that
Right.
of those planters, and this is actually an idea I've had, and I think maybe a couple of years ago I've brought up to the county. So I would love to meet with him and
Well,
see.
you know Ed, don't you? You know Ed Grimm.
I don't think I've met him before.
Okay, all right,
honestly.
I'll hook you up. He's a good
Okay.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, because I would love to share
Mhm.
ideas.
I thought of you right away, of course. Yeah.
And I think there's a way that we can do it where we don't have to pay for it. So
Well, that's what his point was as well. Yeah,
okay,
and he's got
cool.
some, he's been talking to some artists and yeah. So,
Excellent.
so I'll get him hooked up with, Melissa and Ronaldo and anybody else that wants to talk to him.
Thank you.
Yep, what else is happening? Not much, except everything and not much. So if Ms. Davis,
I was
just,
just gonna say
you-
too, I want to thank the Human Resources team and Leisure Services team for putting it out for the employees on last Friday for the employee appreciation. We want to say we appreciate everyone, all of the wonderful dedicated employees that keep us running and serving the community.
Yeah.
Certainly appreciate you. I hope you enjoy your holidays.
and are
be
we gonna
safe.
have a appreciation lunch so that we can do that personally?
Yes.
So
We love to appreciate our team. So I think we're planning something in March.
okay,
Yes.
'Cause that was-
So-
yeah, we were-
so be on the lookout for that. Yes.
Great,
We-
'cause that's
we
the
usually
only
have
chance we
several
really get.
events in a year. Oh, yes. And you can't
All
love
right.
on them enough. So
I know,
we're
I
gonna do that.
know. And people are really beginning, citizens, I think, are beginning to understand how hard they do work. I went to the Christmas concert of the Lake Worth High School Band on Friday. The quality of their music has amazingly improved over the past couple of years, and hardly anybody was there. So I'm really asking us to, join in and go to these things and let these kids know. We all do stuff with our own little stuff that we do, Ronaldo with the water and me with the band and stuff, but those kids need some encouragement, and it's really fun. It's really fun just to go and, $5 you get in and you see high school kids excited about stuff. And that in itself is worth the price of admission. Enthusiastic, talented children cheering each other on. It was great. So other than that, I guess, let me, Glenn, do you have anything for us? Oop. No?
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, I was muted. No, everybody just have a great holiday and a great new year.
That's right. It will be a great new year, and have a great holiday, everybody. And I'll hopefully see some of you tomorrow night about
Very good.
Dixie. All right. Thank you very much. All right. This meeting, I don't need a motion. I can just adjourn this meeting. I'm adjourning this meeting. Have a great day, everybody. Carmen, I'll see you a little bit later for lunch.
See you
Thank you
later.
very